So what's important today is the Ford government has attempted to bury the halfway released sexual violence results on a federal budget day. We are calling on the minister to give schools the data that they need taken from this survey so that they can work towards better and safer campuses for all. The claims of protecting privacy are absolutely absurd. This government is hiding information that post-secondary institutions need, and that these institutions need to make their campus environments safer for all students. We also demand that the minister make the required annual reporting for the institutions to the ministry available to the public. This information does not belong to the ministry only. Enough secrecy from this government. This attempt to bury vital information is further evidence that Ford is leading the most anti-woman government in Canada, and this needs to stop. Today's federal budget really strikes a contrast with what's happening here in Ontario with Ford's attack. While the Ford government increases class sizes and makes hundreds of millions of dollars in cuts to education, the Liberal government in Ottawa is choosing to invest into the future of Canada's young people and young innovators, and into the future of our country's digital economy with the Canada Training Benefit. While the Ford government is tearing our province's healthcare apart and making false promises, the Liberal federal government is bringing a national pharmacare program with the Canada Drug Agency so that we can access the resources that we all need to live healthy and full lives. Ford might think he can be Ontario's bully for another 3 years, but at least there is a federal government in Ottawa that has your back. And that's what Liberals do. Thank you. I'll take your questions.
Mitzie, do you think that the province or the provincial government would be less disappointed with what it sees in the budget if it had a better relationship with the feds? I mean, every day we're sort of seeing attacks between the two levels of government. I mean, would we have seen a better result from them or for them?
I absolutely think so. I think that the coordination, first of all, I think people expect that there is coordination between all levels of government. And the antagonistic way in which our province approaches the federal government is not helpful. We need to be focused on Ontario's economy, on creating good jobs here, on investing in the future of our province. And it's a waste of time and energy to just be bickering back and forth all the time. And, you know, when we look at, the focus on training and skills that is in this budget, that's really important to Ontario's economy, and we need to be working cooperatively with the federal government on those areas.
I'll ask you
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll ask you the same question I had for Sandy Shaw just now. It's complicated. Vic Fideli just said that the government plans to keep its campaign promise to reduce the price of gas by 10 cents. They've taken credit for the 4.3% they say came off the price of gas because they repealed the cap and trade program. But because they repealed the cap and trade program, there's the federal carbon backstop, which is adding about that much to the price of gas and then will escalate. So would you like to weigh in on this? Do you think they will actually keep this campaign promise?
I think it's an absolute shame that Ontario was well underway to reducing carbon emissions and greenhouse gases in this province and a full climate change plan that was about the future of this province. The Ford Conservatives come into office and they smash the plan. That's the first thing they do without really taking a look at its benefits. And now we're actually stuck with a bad plan that doesn't meet emissions targets. So Ontario is subject to the carbon tax program, but the federal government has thought this through and is talking about how to make the carbon incentive payments directly to all Ontarians, and that's something that is built into this budget. So, and in addition to that, they want to create incentives for other institutions that want to reduce their carbon emissions and to become carbon neutral. This is really about the future of this province. Climate change is real, and it's about making polluters pay so that they can clean up their act. If Ford wants to continue on his campaign promise, which actually only serves to reduce the Treasury, and therefore it puts more pressure on spending cuts in this province, that's something that he's going to choose to do. But someone has to take leadership here and be the adult in the room. And I think the federal government is doing that by enforcing a carbon tax program, but that gives incentives directly to Ontarians so that households are not feeling that pain. Thank you. What about your second question? Thanks very much.